It's like the three of us doing it. It's like the Budweiser frogs.
I was going to say the frogs. Yes.
Bourbon.
To celebrate episode 75, we welcome back an audience of our Patreon subscribers, joining us from around the world via Zoom.
Yes, and together with our guests, we'll be heading to Kentucky to sip on the Woodford Reserve Distillers Select Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
As always, you can feast your eyes and ears on more whiskey-based content, pictures and video clips on all our social media platforms. At Whisky and Things Podcast on Instagram and at Whisky and Things on Facebook and Twitter.
And it would help us out if you rate, review and subscribe on all your favourite podcast platforms. And why not become a patron like all these lovely people joining us today?
The loveliest.
You're listening to Whisky and Things with Nick Kent and Dave Giles.
Welcome to episode 75. I'm Dave Giles.
And I am Nick Kent.
And welcome to our very special guest today of our Patreon subscribers.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. This is a live show. So as always, most of you have been to the others, or at least one of the others, you now get to see how much editing Nick actually does to make a show.
Yeah. How much I have to roll this in glitter. How are you, Dave?
I'm not too bad, mate. It's absolutely roasting today, isn't it? So
it is. So
it's impressive that anyone has decided to sit inside and do this with us.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, everyone, for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. This is our first recording back since I got my taste and smell back, Dave, after my COVID experience.
I thought it was back last week.
No, it wasn't. It was half. It wasn't back properly.
Oh.
So this comes out on the 25th of August, and we recorded it back in July 18th. So this is my first one back. But annoyingly, I've lost my sweet, sweet COVID voice, Dave. So that little bit at the beginning was my COVID voice, which I really want back because it sounded pretty epic.
Yeah, all right, okay. Yes.
Listen, like, I want it back.
I respect wood.
You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Love that whiskey.
That sounded like Snoke from Star Wars or something. Like, you won't get this reference, but this one, this is like...
The leads are weak. The leads are weak. You're weak.
No, you won't get the reference. It's a NoFX reference.
I don't get that reference.
No, I was just like sitting there with a microphone on one of the days where I was isolating, just like randomly saying stuff. And yeah, it was fun. But that voice is no more. That voice is no more. But it was fun while it was here. Got a bit of a positive out of the COVID situation. Are you listening to me, Dave? Are you peeling that orange?
Oh, no, I am listening. But you're right. I am also peeling an orange because we're doing a bourbon today and it's the hottest day of the year. So I figured I'd make an old fashioned, but because they take so long to make, I decided to start about 3 hours ago.
Wait before me. And I've made mine and it's very nice.
How have you already made? Have you got sugar syrup or something like that?
No.
Is the sugar melted?
Bitters.
Have you got sugar in there?
Yeah, I did some little cubes.
Is it melted?
Well, it's stirred in enough, when I did my stirring earlier on. Sometimes there's always a bit of residue. There's always a bit. But you don't want it to dilute too much so all the flavour goes. So I got to that point and I was like, yeah, that's nice. It's always a bit of a crunch.
I'm currently doing the finishing touch.
Oh, the old, the rimming. I'm not going to say the rim job. The orange rim job.
The ribbing, you'll be all right with.
Worse, yeah,
right,
rimming's fine. I'll go with the lesser of two evils on that one.
Anyway, so how do you want to start this, Nick? Are we starting by telling people what whiskey we're drinking, or are we started by going into a segment?
Well, we're going to go into the segment while everyone's sipping on this whiskey. So this week we are trying the Woodford Reserve Distillers Select Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And because it's a hot day, Dave and I have made old fashions, but I'll be drinking it neat as well.
Absolutely. So in honour of Jeff Whiskey, who cannot be here today for family reasons, I figure it's important that we let everyone know who currently has a bottle of this sitting there that Nick, you do it. It's got the most satisfying slap sound ever.
Because, yeah.
It's amazing.
It's good. Oh, it's got a bit of resonance on it, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's got
I don't know if that
ping.
came over in the recording. So last time it didn't. It sounds
definitely
better
came
in the room.
over.
Oh, okay. But yes, Woodford Reserve, everyone.
So, fun fact about this, and everyone in the comments in the chat has been letting us know. So obviously, on the label, it has a label batch and a bottle number. So we're being shared. People are sharing their numbers. My number is label batch 1134, bottle number 1373. Richard's also 1134. Snap! Yes, Richard. Yes.
Well, that's cool. I haven't got the chat open, but I'm a 1162 and a bottle number 1433.
So Darren and Paul have got batch 001. How did that work out?
Which one have they got?
Oh no. Sorry, Paul's now. Okay. No, hang on. What? Is it just Darren who's 001? I think it's just Darren who's 001. That's incredible. I think it's fake. Anyway, is that the standard? Well. Anyway, I like that. I think it makes it a bit more special for a bottle of whiskey that's this value. Anyway, Nicholas, let's get drinking and let's have a little chat, shall we?
Let's do that. Classic Sting, that one.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, this segment we're calling Weird-Fun Whisky Facts, brackets, hopefully they're facts. Because I've looked these up and I've hopefully gone to a trusted source because there was a few like weird whiskey facts lists around. And I decided just to trust the worldwhiskeyday.com one because I thought that was, a reputable place to go. Because there's some really weird, stupid facts, which I'll probably share at the end of this one, actually. But yeah, we've got a few facts here. Hopefully you guys might enjoy. Because we haven't done a fact thing yet. We've done a few rundowns and this, that, and the other, but we haven't done a crazy fun fact. So episode 75, boy, are you in for a treat. Yeah. So we've got about 8 here.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You go for it, mate. You go for it.
Okay. Number one, fact. Number one, or fact.
That's hopefully a fact.
Number one. One of the oldest bottles of Scotch whiskey, the Old Vatted Glenlivet 1862, was opened in 2017, and drops of the rare whiskey were captured inside 50 Swiss watches, the most expensive of which cost more than £35,000. What?
What's the point?
What?
Yeah, they've put whiskey in a watch, so it's not even like putting a expensive whiskey bottle on the wall,
This is why I didn't like that Swiss whiskey.
Really?
They do it all wrong. Putting it in watches. What are they doing?
I know, I'm just intrigued what that would look like or why. But what's the point? So you can just show off and say, look, it's got some whiskey in it. It's a nice old-fashioned, mate.
Louise has just said it makes the whiskey timeless.
Oh.
I think she's just won this episode.
Oh,
we're 10 minutes in and she's just won. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a round of applause right there.
Yeah. Nice one, Louise.
Wow, that's it now. So we go on.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's it.
Well, there we go. That's a great one to start. Hopefully is a fact, everyone. Here's another one. Some people might know this already, but it's quite fun. The pepper mash in Tabasco sauce is aged in Jack Daniels barrels before it is then made into the sauce and distributed around the world. That's quite a cool little fact.
I don't know what that means.
Well, when they mash up all the peppers and stuff, their recipe, they put it in ex-Jack Daniels barrels to kind of, It's like, it's probably originally just a way of like using cheap barrels to kind of do something. But they can now use it as a marketing thing because Jack Daniels is quite popular, so I've heard. But there we go. But apparently it affects the taste, Dave. Of course it does.
Yeah, I would expect so. So.
Yeah.
Okay, number 3. The record for most expensive whiskey cocktail sold is a refresh of the traditional Manhattan made with a 55-year-old Macallan served at Dubai's Skyview Bar. Costing, in the chat, what do you think, right? In Dubai, fancy hotel, and play along at home with this. Play along at home if you're not, anyone listening now.
Describe the rest of it, Dave.
It's a 55-year-old Macallan, right? So this posh concoction was stirred with a very special oak stick. from a cask of Macallan. It was also served with ice made from the same water used to produce the single malt, which it contains.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you
So
think it
Lauren-
was nicer?
Lauren reckons 6 figures. Brian reckons 2,500. Dan reckons the equivalent of £150. Lauren has asked whether it was Dumbledore's wand. Louisa said £250,000. Kate has said 1,000. Darren 13,800. Very precise. Richard has also said 1,000. If anyone else wants to play along, now's your chance. Now's your chance. Paul has said 1.6 gigawatts. You got the number wrong, but I like the reference. And Richard has then backed that up by saying 88 miles an hour. So in fact, the cost was £4,632 for a cocktail.
And of course, you're going to have to buy two. If you're going to be with someone, and they're going to want one.
So Brian did pretty well there with 2,500. That was pretty close.
Yeah.
Brian is the winner.
$4,500.
For one drink.
But it's a very
one
special oak stick, Dave. A
oak
very
stick.
special
Dumbledore's
oak
wand.
Stick. Oh, dear.
Yeah, I
go.
won't be getting that round.
Hopefully that was a fact, everyone. Hopefully that was a fact. Number 4. Glen Turret's famous distillery cat, Towser the Mouser, is believed to have caught 28,899 mice in its 24-year lifetime.
That's a lot of mice.
Yeah. Who's counting? They got a tally chart.
That's a really good point. How do they know?
How do they know?
Oh my God. Yeah. That's a lot of mice. We could have done a guessing game on that as well.
That's a lot of mices.
Don't get me started on plurals. All right.
Mouses. Anyway, number 5. Hopefully a fact. Go.
Yes. The average measure of whiskey contains just 64 calories.
Yes.
Fewer than a banana.
Yeah. Have a banana. Or some whiskey, because it's very low in calories. Well, that's good to know, isn't it, everyone?
64 calories for a shot of whiskey. Cheers.
Yeah.
Depends what... average measure, though. I mean, what does that mean?
It's going to be a 25 mil.
How do you know? Was this an American fact? Because they do 3 pours.
No, well, average measure, like some maybe with a higher sugar content might be more. I think that's what that means, Dave. Like the average measure.
Fair enough.
It can be as low as 59. I looked up on a very reliable source, Wikipedia. But there we go. Obviously, I think if you add a mixer, it goes up to 117. So just don't add a mixer. And a double with a mixer can go up to around 200 calories, which is the same as a burger.
Ooh.
Yeah. So just don't add any Coke or anything. Other soft drinks are available. Yes.
Pepsi is
Number
never
6,
okay.
which is hopefully Pepsi's never okay. The co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson, demanded whiskey on his deathbed, but was refused it.
Nice.
He was sober for 36 years up to his death in 1971. You think if that's it, just let him have one, but I guess it would ruin his reputation and the whole organisation, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you know you're dying, I don't know. Yeah, having not got through that kind of thing, I don't know how. I don't know what the...
I haven't been on a deathbed yet, so I don't know how it feels. But if I ask for a whiskey, I'd like a whiskey.
I don't know, mate. You had your hernia out earlier this year. Did that not feel like a deathbed?
That was last year, man. But
okay.
Yeah. So my brother's in here. I'd like a shot of whiskey if I asked one on my deathbed, please. So number 7, which might be a fact.
He doesn't look interested. He doesn't look like he's going to give you a... No, he's not.
We're probably on mute. He's probably watching the telly. It's on mute.
While filming, I think so. He's not reacting at all to any of this. Paul Kent.
Brilliant.
There he is. We were talking about you for 2 minutes. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Thanks for turning up, brother.
Anyway, fact number 7, which might be a fact.
Hopefully
While
it's a
filming
fact.
in the Congo, the majority of the cast of The African Queen became sick with dysentery from drinking the water. Director John Huston and actor Humphrey Bogart emerged unscathed, allegedly because they drank nothing but whiskey throughout.
See, loads of health benefits coming out. Oh dear. That's hopefully a fact, everyone. These are we're knocking them out of the park, aren't we, Dave?
Absolutely.
What's in the chat? You're looking at the chat?
Well, I am, because Brian's just done a great joke. What's a hospice? About a gallon. And I quite enjoyed that. I was quite enjoying that personally. So, bing! Yeah.
Well done. Right, number 8. This is kind of it's a bit of a callback maybe to our number 5, because Mountain Dew was originally meant to be a whiskey chaser, everyone.
No way.
That lovely green drink, which I think they banned over here at one point because of the weird dyes they're putting in it. Anyway, invented by Tennessee bottlers Barney and Allie Hartman, they developed Mountain Dew as a mixer in the 1940s. Soft drinks were sold regionally in the 1930s, and the Hartmans had difficulty in Knoxville obtaining their preferred soda to mix with liquor, preferably whiskey. So the two developed their own. Originally in the 19th century, I can't read today, stupid old-fashioned. Originally a 19th century slang term for whiskey, especially Highland Scotch whiskey, the Mountain Dew name was trademarked for a soft drink in 1948. Well, there you go. The original slogan was, Yahoo Mountain Dew, it'll tickle your innards.
Amazing.
Have you ever had a Mountain Dew?
Mate, I love the Dew. I absolutely love it. But not the stuff you get over here, just the American one. I know it's really bad. I know it's awful, but anytime I'm in the States, I load up on it. When we made my album in Nashville, I was in the supermarket, or the grocery store as they call them over there, and I came back with like 2 massive 2-litre bottles.
Good Lord.
And that was my special treat to myself at the end of the day, a glass of Mountain Dew, and all of them were just like, what are you doing? That stuff's vile. And I was like, nah, this is amazing.
It doesn't look right. Looks radioactive. Not sure.
I have a story which the fact number 7 about the African Queen cask becoming sick, and John Huston and Humphrey Bogart emerging unscathed because they drank whiskey. Mm-hmm. And also tying in with Alcoholics Anonymous, I think this is an interesting story. So, did you know about Oliver Reed and the fact that he died while they were filming Gladiator?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how he died?
I do not.
Okay. So Oliver Reed died of a heart attack, which he had in a bar. After downing 3 bottles of Captain Morgan's Jamaica rum, 8 bottles of German beer, that one's for you, Katie, numerous doubles of famous grouse and Hennessy cognac, and beating 5 much younger Royal Navy sailors at arm wrestling. His bar bill for that final lunch totaled 270 Maltese lira, almost £450, which is about $600. What a legend.
What a legend. That's the way to go, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. That's quite the story. I just thought it reminded me, the Humphrey Bogart story reminded me of that. You know, some movies have been saved by people drinking whiskies. Others have had lots of problems because that caused a massive headaches with Oliver Reed dying middle of the filming. They had to change the movie.
Yeah, they recreated him with CGI as well a bit. I think it's one of the first movies to have to do that.
Yeah.
As well. But still, a ball ache.
Yeah.
Absolute ball ache. I got a bonus fact here. I didn't know whether it's interesting or not. A royal footman who poured whiskey into the Queen's Corgi's water bowl as a party trick was demoted and had his salary cut. I couldn't find much more on it, which is why I didn't put it in the main list.
Just because it's the least likely to be a fact?
Yeah. Pretty much. Oh no, these are the least likely to be a fact. These are ones I haven't given to Dave. But these are ones I found which were like, huh? This is a few here from uswhiskeyreport.com. Nikola Tesla drank whiskey every day because he thought it would make him live for 150 years. What do you think?
Yeah.
Smart man. I saw that in 3 of these lists.
Well, that's got to be true then, isn't it?
Well.
He was a smart man as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. But I don't know. Back then, when was he alive?
Don't know. You did the research.
Yeah, clearly not. Another one here. I don't know. Again, this is just something I found. Didn't follow it up. Diabetics' urine can be transformed into whiskey due to its high sugar content.
Who's tried that, though? Who has actually tried that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a shot.
It was a long lockdown. It was a long lockdown.
I'll have a shot of that, please.
Yeah. I'm trying to
Is that what Knob Creek is?
Ah. There we go.
Yes, I got there in the end. Yes, I knew there was a punchline.
And this one I'm not sure on. 90% of Scotch whiskey is made in Scotland. I'm pretty sure all Scotch whiskey has to be made in Scotland, which is why I started not taking anything off the list. I got this off. 90% of Scotch whiskey is made in Scotland. I looked at the rules. I took out my Edinburgh Whisky Academy stuff. I learned, pretty sure it all has to be made in Scotland.
Look at that. He's got a folder and everything.
But there we go.
All right.
Have you enjoyed those hopefully facts?
Yep, I learned something.
What did you learn, Dave?
Do you know the one? What's the one that's going to stick with me? What do you think the one that's going to stick with me?
The calories one.
The diabetic's piss.
Oh, well, yeah.
That's the one I'm going to remember. That's the one where when someone says, "Oh, what did you learn from episode 75?" That a diabetic's piss can be turned into whiskey.
There you go. Yeah, next time you meet a diabetic, say, "Have you tried this?"
Hey, can you just piss into this, please?
We've got an experiment to do.
Could you imagine?
Yes.
Paul has said, "Have you heard of waiters you can hire who will fill their bladders with wine and serve it?" No way. And they'll... What?
My brother goes to some posh restaurants.
That's not a thing, Paul. Hang on a moment. I got to unmute him.
I listened to a podcast, No Such Thing as a Fish, and they talked about emergency room weird stories, and someone came in with an infection, and that was why.
Oh my God. That's nuts.
So do they do it at the table?
That's nuts. That was not the best of expressions at that particular moment. Accidental, everyone. That was accidental. I didn't plan that. Sorry, Nick. What did you say? I was laughing at my own joke. Accidental joke.
I've got what I said now.
It was obviously very profound. Anyway, Nick, I really enjoyed that. That was.
I reckon they got bladdered off it. That wasn't what it was.
Oh my God. Everyone would expect that from me, not from you, Nick.
I know.
Anyway, congratulations on pun of the day. Actually, no, you still haven't beat Louise's. Anyway, should we get talking about this whiskey then?
Sure.
You're listening to the Whisky and Things podcast.
What a voice.
I know. Oh, I really want it back. How can I get that? That's like a really heavy hangover voice as well. That's a good pop.
It's a great pop, isn't it?
Oh, it's a squeak and a pop.
I'm absolutely loving my old fashioned. I mean, it doesn't really taste like one I'd get in a shop, but I'm loving it. In a shop? In a bar. That too. We'll talk more about old fashions in a moment, but let's talk about this sweet, sweet bourbon, shall we?
Let's do it.
What you got for me then, Nick? How many bourbons have we done now on this show?
Say this week's whiskey, Dave.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. It's because since we moved everything around.
You've forgotten for the last 3 weeks.
I know. It's my catchphrase. It's my big moment in the show. And
before I bore everyone with facts for the next 10 minutes.
People tune in just to hear me say this. This week's whiskey.
Woodford Reserve Distillers Select Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is our 10th bourbon.
Okay. We went a long time without doing one, though.
And now we've done 10. So do you want me to go through the list?
Yes, please.
Okay, we did Bullet in episode 2. Episode 7, we did Buffalo Trace.
Nice.
Episode 12, we did Michter's Number 1.
Oh.
Episode 16, we did FEW.
FEW.
Episode 20, we did Bullet 10 Year. Episode 22, we did Hudson Baby Bourbon. Arguably not a bourbon.
Wasn't really a bourbon.
Episode 32, we did Four Roses Small Batch. Episode 47, we did Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Arguably not a bourbon.
It's not a bourbon.
Episode 61, we did Blanton's Bourbon, or whatever that is called. Is it called Blanton's? Blanton of the Opera is what I've got it written.
Blanton's original single barrel bourbon.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Anyway, that was...
is that it?
That's
so
our
this
list.
is our 9th because Jack Daniel's isn't a bourbon. But that's something for another day, that one.
I'm going to Google that right now.
It was on one of my... it was on every single list for that fun facts one. It was like, let's clear it up. It's a Tennessee whiskey, not a bourbon. But it kind of is a bourbon. It's just a conversation where you can just argue for days. Like, should Lewis Hamilton have had a 10-second penalty today?
Nope.
You know.
Anyway, frequently asked questions on the Jack Daniels website. Straight from the source. Jack Daniels is not a bourbon.
Okay. Yeah, they're going to... Yeah, okay.
It's a
They want it to be different.
It's a Tennessee whiskey.
Yeah, goes through that final Lincoln County process, everyone.
There it is. Anyway, so we're now doing this week's whiskey. So, Nick, tell us more about it.
I'm going to pour a neat one as well.
I've done it as well. In my Whisky and Things Glencairn.
The Woodford Reserve Distillery, originally opened in 1812 by Elijah Pepper. There was a few Peppers in whiskey. I think it was a big Pepper family who used to make whiskey. Anyway, it was formerly known as the
I thought they used Jack Daniels barrels with their pepper mash. What?
Well, it's actually owned by Brown-Forman, who own Jack Daniels head, didn't as well. No, the things you think go over my head, no, I soak them in and then they go elsewhere. Anyway, it was known as the old Oscar Pepper Distillery and later the Lambrot and Graham Distillery. Anyway, it's approximately 8 miles outside Versailles. I'm using the French pronunciation.
Pronunciation, right?
Yes, Versailles in north central Kentucky. On that lovely slab of limestone, which all the bourbon makers say makes their water extra pure because it filters out the iron and all that kind of stuff. So there we go. Anyway, yeah, it's now owned by Brown-Forman, and they launched the brand of Woodford Reserve in 1996 after they refurbished and modernised their distillery. So yeah, it's quite a new one when you think about it. Yeah. But interestingly, you got something to say?
No.
Got something to say, Dave?
Absolutely not.
Woodford Reserve is actually, it's kind of weird and cool because it's actually a marriage of copper pot still spirits and column still spirits. So they're vatted together. And as well, the pot still component is triple distilled, like Irish whiskey or lowland Scotch, which is unusual for a bourbon. They'll either just do the column still thing or they do the batch thing, but they marry things together. So yes, triple distilled.
So based on that, this should be a smooth drink.
Possibly, yeah. I think apparently the spirit's fruitier as well for it.
Oh.
Like the long distill. I think it's fermented for longer to get that fruitiness that a lot of Scotches are doing at the moment. Yes, another fact, Woodford Reserve belongs to Brown-Forman, as I've said. They own Jack Daniels, Old Forester and Glendronach, etc. Therefore, they can enjoy the privilege to order barrels in exactly the manner they want from the company's own cooperage in Louisville.
Do you know who the most famous person from Louisville is?
No.
Have a guess. Does anyone in the chat know the most famous person to have come from Louisville? Come on, let's have a proper pub quiz here. Elvis was from... No, not Elvis.
Why are you laughing? It's a good guess. Johnny Cash?
Nope. Paul said Armstrong. No. He is a sports person. Little clue there. Mike Tyson is close, Brian.
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather is also close.
Any other boxers?
Louise and Jen almost at the same time. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is from Louisville, Kentucky. So, and also, Louisville, Kentucky is the barrels for...
from the Brown-Forman cooperage.
Here it is. Slight diversion there. Anyway.
Yes.
That was fun for me and no one else.
So completely out of context. For example, the barrels for maturing the Woodford Reserve bourbon are uniquely built from staves that have been exposed to natural weather conditions for about 9 months. After this treatment, the wood is pre-matured and delivers less bitter aromas than normal fresh barrels. I know you're glad you've learned that today.
Yeah, it's gone one in ear out the other, to be honest, but I'm sure I'll...
It's like your jokes.
Yeah. Touche. I too have an uncle. Anyway, next. What you got next for us, Nick? You must have a couple of...
It's another boring fact, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The warehouse... We've talked about this a couple of times.
Are these real facts or are these...
These are real facts.
Okay, right.
That's because these aren't as fun as the fake facts. The warehouses the Woodford Reserve are made of brick and stone, and they were built at the end of the 19th century.
Do you mean were they made of brickstone?
I edited mine to say brick and stone because I didn't think brickstone made sense.
No, it's brickstone, isn't it?
Is that a thing?
I think
Brickstone?
pretty sure.
I would have put it stone brick, but the source I got this from said
Paul
Brickstone.
works in engineering, don't you, Paul?
Construction. He's a Sparks.
Oh, right,
Sparky.
okay. Different vibe. Anyway, yeah, all right, then brick and stone.
Yeah.
Carry on.
That actually has nothing to do. Yeah. To support the speed up of the maturation, the warehouses are heated up and cooled down in terms. We had this before with I think it was the Mictors.
It was, I remember.
Like that. Yeah. Because the expanding and contracting of the whiskey is driven into the wood and reacts more with the wood than it does during normal maturation. Yeah, so that's another thing. They speed up the term it's in there, so to get some more flavour out of the wood because they heat it up and cool it down. Fun times. And one little thing here, they often sponsor the Kentucky Derby, the famous racehorse. The famous horse race. They could sponsor one horse, I reckon. And in 2021, released a special Kentucky Derby bottling, which is nice, isn't it? And they have special artwork and stuff, which is lovely. Anyway, that's a few bits about that.
Whiskey?
What do you think about this whiskey? Because one of the reasons why I had it as an old fashioned, or it's not just because it was baking hot and I wanted something a bit cooler and more refreshing. It's because most online old fashioned tasting kits seem to come with some kind of Woodford Reserve.
No, you're right. And they actually do their own old fashioned kit, which I have. They have that, but they kind of have it with this syrup they give you. It's like orange and sugar and the bitters all mixed into one. It's fine if you're in a rush. It's not as nice as doing it properly, but it's a nice little kit. But no, it is popular in old fashions. I think maybe because it has maybe a higher rye content than a lot of things. It's not as sweet as a lot of other bourbons. And when you're adding sugar to a drink, it can maybe make it too sweet, I think. So I don't find this as sweet as other ones. So maybe that's why it's good in an old fashioned.
What I find interesting is that old fashions became really popular because of Mad Men, the TV show. Do you ever watch that?
No, but I know of it. Yes.
Right, so it was set in the 60s and they all were drinking old fashions, or the main guy used to drink old fashions all the time. And from what you've just told me, Woodford Reserve wouldn't have been around.
No, but I think originally it was made with rye whiskey. So that may have been a thing. And garnished with lemon. But of course, it all kind of changes throughout the years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was a rye whiskey thing originally. But there we go. So yeah, this is 72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. So I thought it was a higher rye content than most other bourbons, but then I looked up some others and it doesn't seem to be the case. Bullet Bourbon, 86% corn, 28% rye, and 4% malted barley. A favourite of yours, Dave, this Four Roses single barrel, 60% corn, 35% rye. Maybe you like the rye content, and 5% malted barley. And a favourite of mine, Maker's Mark, has got 70% corn, 16% wheat. Madness. And 14% malted barley. There's no rye in it at all.
Madness.
I'm going to look into that now. I didn't know it only had wheat in it. But there we go. So are we enjoying it? What, Dave? Are you enjoying your old-fashioned?
I'm loving my old-fashioned, and we'll perhaps talk more about old-fashioned in a bit. But as a bourbon, I think it's really good. A really good bourbon.
I've always been a massive fan of this.
Same. I think it's really drinkable. I do think it's quite smooth, and I do enjoy it. It's up there for me with Four Roses. I prefer this and Four Roses to Buffalo Trace, for example, and Maker's Mark. And I would put them four as the standard bourbons that you can get in the UK anyway. They're pretty much the four standard bourbons, right?
Yeah, I think so. The supermarket bourbons, for sure.
Absolutely. Maybe Four Roses isn't a supermarket bourbon, but you're seeing it in a lot of bars now. So I really like it personally, and I find it very drinkable. Obviously, I think with all bourbons are so good as cocktail drinks. Compared to Scotch, I would rather have a whiskey cocktail with a bourbon than a Scotch. My own personal preference. And I think this is a great one for that purpose. I don't know why. I don't really care why, to be honest. I just know it is. like,
I care.
No, it works. It does work in an old fashioned really well. Perhaps more so than others.
No, you're right. It's reasonably priced as well. I find with bourbons, so obviously we've tried the Blantons and a couple of others and stuff, but there's that bourbon taste, isn't there? And you don't need to spend a lot to get a nice bourbon
absolutely.
Taste. Like my everyday drinker is a Buffalo Trace, and you can get that for £18 in Tesco. which is ridiculous. So, and this, price-wise, standard, I go by, Tesco, it's 35 quid. You can get it on the Whiskey Exchange for 33.45. But again, like, if you find it, you don't need to spend it. I bought this for £23 in Sainsbury's on offer. And that's just amazing value, I think, for a really good bourbon. So you don't need to spend a lot to get a nice bourbon. And if you do, it's got to be for a special reason. But,
hey, Nick, just out of curiosity, what batch number did you say yours was?
1162.
And what alcohol level have you got?
Yes, 43.2.
Same as mine. Does anyone else's bottle differ in the chat? Does your bottle differ from that? Because I'm aware that Lauren's is 45.2.
Yes, that's the US bottling.
So the US is a different thing.
Yes, it does happen a lot, like different bottlings. But yeah, it's weird that the UK is 43.2 and the US is 45.2.
Yeah, it was interesting that Richard's is the same batch number as mine, but he has a higher ABV and he's in America. And Darren, Darren, who has batch number 1, is also, and he's in Scotland, also has the 45.2.
That's interesting.
So
where did he buy it?
Where did Darren get his whiskey from?
Where did he get it from?
Where
Darren.
did he get
Darren, where did he get it from?
Whiskey.
We only want facts. Where did you get it?
Close to facts as possible.
Close brackets, facts.
Back of a lorry. No, that was what Richard said. This is the longest bit of typing I've ever seen, Darren. If this is just one word, all right. Drink Mongers in Edinburgh, which I'm guessing is an off license. It's nod. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So an off license in Edinburgh is getting batch number 1.
Wow. That's
with American
I'm intrigued
percentage.
Okay, that's cool.
Paul says that his is a proprietary batch. That's a word that's not coming out after a couple of whiskeys.
Yeah, so is mine. Yours will probably have that as well. Proprietary. Proprietary.
Oh, yeah, it does. Does everyone says that? Right.
What does proprietary mean?
Can
you Google that, Dave?
Yeah, on it. Well, proprietary, relating to an owner or ownership, marketed under and protected by a registered trade name. I'm guessing is more like
nothing really, does it?
Nope.
No.
It means no one can copy it, essentially, as Richard has just said.
Oh.
There you go, Paul. You're welcome. Paul asked what it meant, and now he knows. So yeah, I really like this whiskey. I don't think it's worth. I don't think it's worth doing proper tasting notes on it because it's just a bourbon. It's a
great bourbon. It's quite spicier than most, and it's not as sweet as the others. But
I agree, it's not as sweet as the others, which is why it's interesting that it's used in cocktails, and maybe that's one of the reasons why, because you're adding sweetness elsewhere. So therefore, actually, you don't need the whiskey to provide as much of the sweetness.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Perhaps.
Yes, I would think that. So let's go with that. But yeah,
absolutely.
I'm liking this.
Shall we move on and get some people in and have a chat with some other people about their thoughts on this whiskey and perhaps other things?
Do it.
You're listening to Whisky and Things. These British people talk funny.
Interesting. Sorry, that was in reference to the chat rather than those. These British people talk funny. Interesting. First of all, I'm going to ask Dan to join us, Nick. Is that all right?
Yeah. Why would it not?
So, hello, Dan. Now, Dan, people may remember from previous Patreon episodes, Dan does cocktails. It's his job. He's a professional cocktail person. So, Dan, first of all, what are your opinions on the Woodford Reserve? And tell me how to make an old-fashioned.
Well, first of all, good evening, gentlemen. So the best way that I can describe Woodford Reserve, it's just a pertly pliable whiskey.
It's the Play-Doh of whiskey.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a staple for any American classic in the bar that I work at. So anything like Manhattan, old-fashioned, whiskey sour, you can guarantee that there's going to be Woodford in it. That's the way that I normally make an old-fashioned. Sometimes some people think it's just a bit too heavy, has a bit too much kick to it, so I will normally add just one ice cube and just sort of like temper the whiskey a little bit first, giving it a little bit of a stir, then adding my bitters, my sugars, and then just giving that a good old stir until most of the sugar's gone, and then put your ice in, give it a good old stir, and as ironic as it is, kind of need to get the ice cubes wet. Sometimes you get some of them that just look a little bit dry on top. You need to get all of the ice cubes just nicely
the ones
mixed.
that stick to your tongue and your finger. Yeah.
And then just finish it off with a nice flaming orange.
Yeah, that's what I didn't do. I didn't do the lighter with the
Hang on a
zest
moment.
and you
I was
squeeze
supposed to set it on fire.
Yeah, you kind of squeeze it and light it, and then it flames, and it gives this lovely aroma. I've seen that done before.
Yep.
So Dan, when
Citrus fruit is flammable, people.
when you're in the bar, do you use sugar syrups or do you use normal sugar?
Yeah, do you make your own sugar syrups?
We do not, unfortunately, but I find the best sugar to use is definitely Demerara, or just some normal brown sugar that's lying around, because it just helps deepen the flavour instead of just sweeten the cocktail.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've got the Demerara. That sounds like a medical condition. Got the old Demerara.
And while we've got you here, Dan, what are you drinking at the moment? Like, what whiskey is your whiskey go-to? Or when you're choosing to drink whiskey, how do you prefer to drink it?
I normally will orientate towards a bourbon. That's just my personal palate. And I normally just kind of like drink it neat and then maybe add in a bit of water if I just feel it's a bit too heavy, really.
So you add water rather than ice?
Yeah, I would normally add a bit of water, but if it feels dry, then maybe add a bit of ice, and then it just allows that whiskey to stretch out a little bit. Yeah, you get that mellow graduation into the softer flavors.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. We've just heard from a whiskey professional, everyone. So
first time this evening.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not a lie.
Without a doubt. Thank you, Dan. I will now be trying to set fire to my oranges whilst making my old fashions.
God.
And that sounds like...
Seeing as you spilt the water earlier, fire is going to be fantastic.
You're listening to Whisky and Things.
So Richard,
Hello.
welcome. A Welshman in Oregon is how we describe you. So you're currently between shifts, is the is the polite way of putting it.
That's right. I did warn you, Dave. I said, don't let me drink more than the dram, right?
No, you did. You absolutely did. And so you've got the American percentage.
Yes, sir.
Just to add to this small lunch and the fact that you're in between shifts, it's a little bit stronger. But what do you think of it? I mean, have you had Woodford before? Is it the first time you're buying a Woodford?
It is the first time buying the Woodford, and to be honest, I know it's not a bourbon, but Jack Daniel's is the nearest I've had to a bourbon before. So this is actually much nicer, in my opinion, for me.
Agreed.
I agree.
Yeah. So, after smelling it and drinking it myself, I looked up the official kind of tasting notes, and they mentioned a faint tobacco, and I could get that. It reminds me of my grandfather's pipe. Now, I don't know whether he was secretly a whiskey drinker as well, but it just has that. It takes me back to that kind of memory, shall we say. Nice. Dave, no jokes here, but the more I put in my mouth, the less the burn is.
Well, absolutely. I know the feeling. Oh, it's so hard not to make it. Yeah. Anyway.
I know. Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
Thank
Richard.
you.
Right, I'm going to go to Jen next. Jen, are you all right?
Hey, Jen.
Pretty sure you told me you've got some Woodford.
Yeah, I got a gift of my birthday with the old-fashioned kit.
Oh, was it? You've got the kit. Nice.
Yeah, it came with a glass and like a dinky little bowl.
It's a posh one.
So, what, have you had it straight, or have you had it as an old-fashioned today?
I've had it both ways today.
Right.
Yeah.
And?
I've had it with old-fashions loads of times because my friend makes it that way all the time.
Yeah.
Me, I find it kind of like, it reminds me of when I had a toothache, like cloves and stuff. Like it has like medicinal kind of taste, maybe.
Interesting. Let me try again. I'm not getting that, but oh no, there it is. There it is. You're right. There is a medicinal vibe to it. Right at the end.
I had this the other day with the whiskey and I couldn't work out what it was, and then suddenly it was like it's my having a toothache and having clove oil.
Clove oil is not something I know what. I haven't got a reference for that, but I mean, Louise is nodding her head as if to go, "Oh yes, clove oil. Oh yes, it's a big thing." I've got no idea. But alas, Louise is a mum and I'm not. So that might be it. It's a chai spice kind of flavour. If you ever had toothache, clove oil is the best. Andy's just said that, by the way. Anyway, I've never had clove oil, but interesting.
No, me either.
Clearly, Nick, bear in mind you had all your teeth problems. I'm surprised that's not something that's been in your...
I'm trying to think of what, like, just dentist tastes and stuff, but I've never...
No, that's definitely a mum thing. It's something your mum...
It's a mum thing.
Yeah.
I did just get the when I had my braces when I was a teenager and they numbed my gums to pull my tooth out. There was like a weird anaesthetic thing they put in my mouth.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm trying to think of. When they accidentally squirt it as they bring it out, there's that weird taste.
There's a little bit of that, but I used to like that taste.
I didn't.
I loved it.
And I've had a lot of dental work done.
Me too. Went over the handlebars on my bike and smashed my face into the pavement. So,
Oh my god! Yeah, see, there you go. You and Nick, you know.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yay! Pavement buddies. The amount of times I've smashed my face on the pavement is ridiculous. Yay!
It wasn't my fault my brakes were broken. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to it.
There it is.
I was running.
Yeah.
I wasn't even on a bike
I was
or
on a
anything.
bike.
The one time I fell with my face on the pavement, I was actually trying to help some people in a car that had crashed in the States, and the curbs were like this big in the States, and I fell off because I was a bit drunk, landed on my face, and then the ambulance arrived, and instead of going to the people who were actually in the car crash, they came to me because I had the worst facial injuries of anyone at the scene.
Yeah.
So that's how bad. I was like, no, I'm fine. They were in the car. I fell over crossing the street.
I don't have any stories like that. I'm quite glad.
Let's hope it stays that way.
Jen, thanks very much. I'll go ask someone else to join us now, but thanks for sharing us your thoughts and more about your whiskey journey. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Love that whiskey.
Andy, I'm going to come to you if that's all right.
Andy.
Good.
How you doing, buddy?
Very well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you got yourself a bottle of Woodford as well, didn't you?
Yep, I did. It was, I know they're a little bit evil, but Amazon at £23 was a bargain.
Mate, I got mine from Amazon as well on Prime Day. I got a really good deal on there, and it's great. So
I was a bit sad, obviously, you didn't deliver it, Dave, but you know.
Could you imagine that?
That would have been the best.
So, sorry, mate. I really need to see your ID.
No, sorry.
So what do you think about it?
No, it's nice. I mean, there's definitely like the vanilla and the honey flavours that come through, definitely. I found it quite strong on the nose to start with, actually. That kind of ethanol smell was quite strong. But I can't remember who said it earlier, actually, about the kind of tobacco-y smell. It certainly kind of feels like an old man kind of oaky lounge cigarette smell kind of lingering, kind of a taste of the old days, really.
Nice.
An old boy's sitting room.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of, I could almost kind of see myself in a room, kind of oak panelled, few people kind of sat around smoking, dark and dingy, not like today at all. But yeah, it kind of transported me there a little bit.
Nice.
I'm not getting this tobacco everyone's talking about.
I think it's almost a stale tobacco. That kind of the morning after the night before.
Oh.
It's a smell that I don't think really exists anymore. It's the smell of going into the pub in the morning.
Oh, yes.
In the old days when people used to smoke in the pub.
Yeah.
That makes me feel a little bit old.
For me, stale tobacco is like waking up in some...
Here we go.
I was going to say, some dingy, like above a pub, like studenty, waking up on a sofa. You know where the sun's beating through and you're fully clothed still, and you wake up and you look at the floor and it's that.
Good recovery.
You know that really loud carpet all the pubs used to have, but it was like cigarettes trodden into that, and it stank of cigarette smoke and. Yeah.
Yeah, you recovered well there, Nick. You recovered well.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I really? How? So I'll stop there then.
Right, Andy, we'll talk to you later, but thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure as always.
I respect wood.
Hello.
Good evening, Kate. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well,
Hey,
thank you.
Kate.
Very, very well. You said you had some Woodford. What do you think about it?
It's worryingly drinkable.
Boom. I agree.
I was going to get a miniature, and then I saw it was £23 in Sainsbury's, so I was like, may as well get the whole bottle. And I'm already on like my second one, and I've basically finished it, and I'm kind of tempted to have a third, and I really shouldn't because I have work tomorrow.
Oh, you do have work tomorrow.
Yeah.
have a third.
I might do.
Blame me.
No, it is very drinkable. Did you make an old fashioned, or are you drinking it neat, or with ice, or?
I'm drinking it neat. I do have the ingredients for an old fashioned, but I couldn't be bothered.
Fair enough. I understand that. I do understand that. Because I would drink old fashions a lot more if I could be bothered.
Such a ball ache.
Yeah, if I could actually be bothered. But I can't. It's too much stirring.
It's nice if you're sitting down to watch a movie or something. You need a little bit of an occasion to.
Yeah, my wrist gets sore.
Different type of movie. But yeah. You know, if you're having some Dave special time
with my old fashions.
Yeah, exactly. That went south.
It did. It did indeed. All right, Kate, we'll speak to you soon. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Kate. Good to see you.
Hey, Ben, you up for coming and having a chat?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's Ben.
So, Ben, Woodford Reserve, what are your thoughts on Woodford?
Yeah, it goes down pretty well. It's actually better than I thought it was going to be. It's got a bit of complexity to it, so yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's got a bit of spice, a bit of sweetness. I get sort of ginger snaps on the nose, and I quite like it. The longer I leave it, I think it's good.
And are you normally a bourbon drinker, or are you more of a Scotch guy?
More of a Scotch. If I go American, it generally tends to be more corn.
Right.
So I do quite like a corn whiskey, and but yeah, generally speaking, I'd go Scotch. But,
what corn whiskies are you buying?
I've had obviously it's the standard sort of mellow corn. I had, the Boutique Whiskey Company. You've done a couple of their reviews.
Yeah.
They do a really good Heaven Hill. I think it's maybe 9 or 11 year corn whiskey. It's like 45 quid on Master Malt. It's really, really delicious.
We haven't done a corn whiskey. It's been on my list for ages.
All right, we'll make it happen then.
And I tried one in this distillery. I went to New York once as well, and that was really good as well. So yeah, they're pretty decent so far from what I've tried.
Yeah, you think corn is like a weird, I don't know, it's going to be that sweet thing, but people are making stuff with blue corn. There's all these different colours of corn, and it's really interesting what people are doing over there. But because it's American, it costs a lot of time to import, so it's rather expensive to buy a bottle and do on the show, which is why we haven't done it yet, I think. But no, yeah, I'm interested in the corn thing. But mellow corn, I haven't tried. It looks like a cheap bottle of whiskey, the mellow corn.
It is. It's kind of your baseline one, I think. I mean, you could probably pick up a bottle for sort of 20 to 30 quid, maybe 30 quid max sort of thing. But it's quite a nice sort of entry level.
So that's cheap and cheerful?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's not bad though. There's a bit more burn on it than with some of the more expensive ones.
Ben, thanks very much for joining us. We'll speak soon. Hopefully go for a beer soon.
Thanks,
Take care.
Cheers, guys. Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Louise. I can't do that voice again.
Hello.
Louise.
Hello, Louise. How you doing?
I'm a bit tipsy, actually.
Yay!
We got you at the end. We made that mistake with Jen last time. This time it's your turn to be the tipsy one. Yeah. So what do you think of the Woodford?
It's very nice. On the nose, it's not very sharp. It's really like this really subtle smell. You don't get that sort of, you don't sniff it and then feel like your eyes are going to water. I actually got my dad and my son to smell it as well. My son doesn't drink whiskey, but he said it reminded him of antique shops, like the old fusty wood is the way he described it. And I kind of got that when I smelt it myself. But there's quite a honey smell to it as well.
Yeah.
But on the tongue, it's marmalade. I got marmalade from it.
I love the fact you said on the tongue. Amazing.
Best way of describing it, isn't it?
On the tongue.
On the tongue.
Marmalade.
In my mouth.
Yeah, I did. I got marmalade and I get the woodiness from it, but I can't quite place, it's just woody.
Woody on the tongue.
Woody on the tongue. I did add a bit of water to it because it was a little bit too sharp.
Okay.
You've gone.
Yeah, I've made myself go again. Well, it reminds me of my first time. Anyway.
It's all that wood on the tongue, mate.
It's all that wood on the tongue, exactly. Anyway, Louise, thanks so much for joining us once again.
Why they ever let two Englishmen have a whiskey podcast, I'll never know.
Darren, you've had about half a bottle now since we've been talking.
Yeah. Half a bottle.
Let's see if we can understand a single word you say
Likely.
with your strong Glaswegian accent.
Really, Dave?
So, Darren, what's your views on the Woodford Reserve?
I was using the Woodford Reserve, their recipe that's actually on their website for making an old-fashioned, and it was really nice. Although it was really sweet as well, but I didn't mind that because I actually quite liked it.
Interesting.
20 minutes I've been drinking it straight, and it might just be down to the fact that I've had half a bottle, take a slightly bigger sip, and it doesn't burn quite as much, and it tastes a little bit nicer.
So more in your mouth, less burn.
So more in your mouth, less burn. Tastes a bit nicer.
Good tactic.
All right, Darren, thanks so much for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us.
Cheers, dude.
And saving the better Kent till last.
I agree. Especially now. He's got a jawline and abs. My brother now.
He's still got more teeth than you, even though he's missing a couple.
Yeah, I know.
At the front. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you all again, chaps.
Yeah, it's great to have a little catch up again. So, Paul, what do you think of this Woodford Reserve then?
Really good. I finished it.
Big night, that. Big night.
I've had it for a little while. It's the last one in my cupboard, I think.
Oh, an empty bottle pop compared to a full bottle pop.
That's a resonance as well, wasn't it?
That didn't work.
Oh! It's like the three of us doing it. It's like the Budweiser frogs.
I was going to say the frogs.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts, other than the fact you finished a bottle?
Smells good. It tastes really good. So I like it. That's what I'm going to say.
Yes, Nick. See, that's all we need for our tasting notes.
I know. I was thinking that.
We're overdoing it. We're overdoing it. Paul's just nailed it there. Smells good. Tastes good.
So, did you do an old-fashioned, or did you just drink it neat, or what are you doing?
Just neat. I don't have the particulars to make an old-fashioned. I wasn't prepared, to be fair. So, next time maybe. But I do need another bottle of it, obviously.
There you go.
£23 in Sainsbury's.
Got any lying around, Nick?
No.
Now you know what he's getting for his birthday.
Just missed that.
I got you Eagle Rare at one point in the last year.
I finished that. That was really good.
That's a great
You enjoy
bourbon.
that?
I love Eagle Rare.
We've got a Winter's Gold. I'm going through that now.
Nice. In the freezer?
It has been, but I've had to make a bit of room for other stuff. But yeah, it does get drunk in the freezer, yeah.
Yeah, peas. Too many peas,
Food.
not enough whiskey. Paul, thanks very much for joining us.
These guys.
I think that's probably a good chance for us to wrap this up, Nick, don't you?
I think, yeah, definitely. We've definitely outstayed our
is he
welcome.
frozen?
Me?
He's frozen again, isn't he?
Oh, internet's unstable.
Oh,
okay.
no.
Hang on, I'll be back. Hang on.
Oh, no. Right at the end.
Am I back? Am I back?
Oh, there
Am
he
I back? Am I back?
And he's back.
Am I back?
Heaven. Yes.
I can hear you guys.
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, dear. We've been having some gremlins this evening. It's going to be a lovely
he's
edit.
got again.
Have I? Hello? Am I back? Am I back? Are you just messing with me so I'll wave my hands
like
around?
He was singing the Red Dwarf theme
Oh, no,
tune.
you didn't.
It's cool. So there he's back. He's back. Right, but Nick.
Let's wrap this up then. Jesus Christ.
You and I may need to record the ending for this tomorrow. But so everyone else who's here, thanks very much for coming. We'll see you. Show 100. We'll sort out a whiskey and get it sent to you. No, not really, Nick. So thanks very much. And we'll see you all again very soon. What's he doing?
Me?
He's not going to help you.
Standing here. What are you talking about?
If he was, if it was down to Jesus, we'd be doing all right because we had a reverend in.
I said that 5 minutes ago. What's going on?
What's going on?
There's some weird going on.
Okay, I'm going to end this. But everyone, thank you very much for being here. I'm sure Nick will send his goodbyes at another point, and me and him will end up recording this later. But thank you all very much, and I'll speak to you all soon. Oh dear.
I'm still here.
The whiskey. So as everyone knows now, we tend to do these every 25 shows. So if you've listened to this and thought, do you know what? I want to be part of this. This sounds like fun. You can join us on patreon.com/Whisky and Things, and you'll be most welcome. Patrons get more than just the ability to come to these little things, and we're hoping to do real live shows as well at some point. That is the plan, isn't it, Nicholas?
That is the plan, yes. And our next one we're doing is the Big 100.
Yes.
So if you want to get involved with the Big 100, and every 50 shows, we like to send our patrons a dram for them to taste along with. So, yeah, we don't know what it's going to be because it's a long way off. Like
feels like we have
weeks.
to do something special, though, doesn't it? Does
For
feel like we
100th
have to do
show.
something special.
Yeah, we do have to see it quite special. So, yes, if you want to get involved in that and get a nice cheeky dram and get involved and have a chat, then, you know, get onto patreon.com/whiskey and things. And we'd love to hear from you.
Always. And thanks to everyone for turning up tonight. It's been lovely to talk to you all.
Absolutely.
And thanks for your continued support because it makes this a lot easier for us. We're able to buy some whiskey every now and then. And hopefully, as the world opens up, we'll be able to visit some distilleries and all of that fun. All that jazz.
Fun stuff. All that
jazz. So coming soon. Distillery tours near you.
Yeah.
From Whisky and Things. Yeah. But Nick, I think the Angels have had their share, mate. What do you reckon?
You've had yours. The patrons have had theirs.
Definitely.
Whoa. God, have they had
Big
their
time,
share.
especially Darren. Jeez.
Oh, that Darren. Oh, calm down, Darren. Cheers. Thanks for coming.
Whisky and Things has been brought to you by And Things Productions.
Smells good.